let's try something normal. Let's go with the normal stuff. Okay. Let's try a King's Indian. King's Indian attack. If you do this setup for black, it's called defense. For white, we label that attack. So what will I be looking to do? Well, I'm not so sure yet. I might want to shift gears. I might want to strike with c4. If I'm looking to attack, I'll look to play my pawn up to e4. This is a pretty universal setup we have here. Kingside Fianchetto, castle, pawn up to d3 to prevent this e4 advance. So now I need to do something. I can't let these pawns just sit here happily. They have to be hit. So how will that happen? Well, I could do this. I think without any support. I think I could still play this because tactically it's alright. If e4 takes. If the knight is recapturing, I follow up with knight takes pawn. If knight takes f, I could do knight takes queen. I do knight takes queen. From here, if the knight grabs a pawn, I could also grab a pawn. I think everything is going to work out quite alright. So let's go for it. Let's go for it. e4 right away. Right away. If the structure changes in this way with d4, well, I'm going to look to get this pawn up to f4. Although I might want to do something like first c3. Okay, I don't have anything better. Alright, that kind of scares me. Kind of scares me. h3, just pick up the bishop pair? I'd like to be able to play this move just to box out this knight, not give him the d4 square. But this pin has me a bit concerned. Do I just play h3? Bishop takes, knight d4, queen here, and then I could kick him away. h3, bishop back. I'm still needing to do something about this pawn. Let's ask a question first. Is the bishop going to be a pest? Is he going to keep me in a pin? In other words, yes, he is. He does not want to let that go. Queen here just gets hit with knight d4. No thanks. Rook e is available. I think that's what I would want to do. All right. Yeah, I wanted to insert this first just so that I'm a single move away from breaking this pin. I want to at least get it to that point. h3, kick him back, and then it's immediately kicked. Not where it's still on h2 and the bishop's here, because then there might be, if I do h3, there could be bishop takes knight, and that could somehow work in black's favor. I want to bring it to that point where, again, I'm just a single move away from breaking the pin, but not yet committing. This has me worried. I'm worried here, because if I do this, there's probably some sacrifice. So I think I could... What could I do? Bishop here might be a possibility. No. Let me make sure this knight doesn't jump in here. Yeah, let's rule that out. Let's rule it out. Now at least I could get my queen here. I don't have to worry about knight d4 stuff. Now I want to keep in mind, I want to be in a position where if bishop here is played, I could play knight h4. So maybe on second thought, this idea of queen to e2 is something I shouldn't be doing. No, actually it's still okay. Queen here is okay. Yeah, that's fine. Let's get off of this. I need some more development. Where does my knight want to go? Maybe he wants to go on f1. For some reason, I was thinking after bishop here, I couldn't do knight here. I was thinking only my queen and rook were defending e4, but that's not the case. Not the case. Bishop here, knight here. My bishop is there to defend. So that's how I would be reacting if bishop g6. What more is my opponent going to do? Probably moving this bishop is a good idea, as otherwise you're not releasing this energy that's built up on the d file. In the meantime, I think just to complete my development, I'm going to be playing bishop out to g5, and maybe I do have some thoughts of not just looking to ruin the kingside structure, but more long-term, show that this bishop is maybe a dead piece. Okay, my opponent is ruling that out. With an h7, f7, f6, and e5 structure, and this bishop caught in this sector of the board, he could turn out to be a dead piece with a g4 and e4 structure on the white side. Okay, so knight or bishop? Probably my knight. Get my knight working. So is this played, was this a dual purpose move to keep my bishop out and be in a spot to have bishop g6 and then if knight h4, bishop back? I don't think, whoa, 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 whoa. That is one scary move. That is definitely a scary move. If I do this, is my opponent going to capture? Wow. Push. Knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes. Oh man. Knight here is what I would like to do. I wasn't even thinking my opponent would do that. And why wouldn't I be thinking that? Shame on me. I'm gonna do that. Shame on me. If my opponent doesn't take, I get my knight into this square. Although I can't do that right away. What am I talking about? Bishop here, I have to do something about this pawn. Why wasn't I thinking about, I was completely oblivious to this idea. And why should I have been? We're castle on opposite sides, so it makes sense to want to launch these pawns forward, and I should really keep my pawns as close to my king. But I'm seeing a reason to maybe go in for this. Alright. So, first order of business is to get out of this pin. I can't get out of the pin so easily, though. Let's do this first. This should be defendable. These two pieces aren't doing anything. And I'm looking to play knight here. And now I'm pretty sure this is going to be defendable. If I could establish a knight right here. I'm still not out of the pin, by the way. We're both under a minute. Bishop h5. Bishop h5. I jump my knight in here and everything is okay, but wait a second. I could just take this very valuable light square bishop. Let's get rid of him and do my favorite move. My favorite move. Offer a queen trade. Queen trade. I was thinking about king h2, bishop h3, but that's just hope chess. I would just be hoping for stuff. Actually, by force, the queens have to come off. If the queen went away, I could play queen here. So now I'm up a piece. If I'd played here right away, they'd just get the door slammed on me. Let's do this. Going with this one, I'm not sure how much it matters. I want to do this so there's no tricky tactics. That knight's bothering me. It's definitely bothering me. No, he's not. Now, and I have light squares. I have light square control. Let's jump my bishop in there. Is that knight going to bother me? I don't think so. Play king h2. I think I have everything covered. How much time? Very little for both of us. I was also on f6. That's why I went there. I'm not sure. I guess I want to try and get in this. c4, c5. Okay, that bishop's dead. Maybe a skewer if captures. Let's just get that tricky knight out of there. Okay, he was in pre-move mode. No time. Oh, man. Okay. Good game, sandwich ham. Let's back up. Oh, my goodness. See the mental blunders I was making? Not specific moves, but general ideas. Why wasn't I considering g5? This move is the first one that strikes me as odd. Queen here, or bishop to d6, obstructing the queen. So what's something better? I think something that's maybe more tame with bishop to e7. Bishop c5, I'm pretty sure runs into a knight captures. Typical sacrifice in the center with d4 to follow, right? Bishop c5, there would be knight takes e, knight takes with d4 to follow. You get the piece back. Bishop e2, I think, is going to be a little bit better. I wonder also about this idea of not declaring your dark square bishop just yet. I wonder if you could play bishop g4 with queen to d7 and think about queenside castling. Here's one way to look at this position. With white playing d3, you can be saying to yourself as black that it's either going to be e4 or c4 that's used to strike at the center. And with that in mind, you can anticipate, well, you could be capturing those pawns as a result, and then what's changing file-wise? The d file. And in anticipation of that, there might be some sense, therefore, with queenside castling. I think in situations, okay, it's most common where you castle kingside in chess, but if there's situations where you're able to castle queenside and automatically get your king safe and have your rook active on an open file, namely the d file, that's something to look into. So I wonder a little bit, in other words, about this idea of bringing the light square bishop out and then following up with queen to d7, but I do have some worry in that of bishop g4 being met with first h3. Does the bishop really want to be sectioned off on this side of the board? I'm not so sure. In any event, I think that's something to look into, that idea of a queenside castle, which is what you ended up doing. But the other thing is to keep the bishop out of the way along this d file. He ended up just being stuck on d6 for pretty much the whole game until it was just me being up a piece. So I think maybe bishop to e7 is a little bit better. Keeping a much closer eye, the other way to look at it is that you're obstructing your queen's view of this point right here, which is the one point I'm really going to be putting pressure on soon enough. In this case, I went with e4, but you could also be seeing c4 with knight c3 to follow. Okay, you didn't go with that capture, but there were tactical shots with knight e5, h3, rook e1. Now the queen bumps up, so you did go forward with that, and you do go with queenside castle. h6, I was completely blind to this advance right here. Can you hear that sleet in the background? It's coming down pretty good here. Crazy PA weather. Anyhow, alright, here comes g5. This seems, it's definitely a little bit scary here. I wonder if you could still just back up and then look to play h5. I don't know that I'm any better. It's hard to imagine that I would be any better in this position with having moved so many pawns in front of my king, you having this pawn break with h5 and soon enough an open h-file, and it wouldn't then come at the cost of a piece. Maybe being a bit more patient with bishop g6 is okay. Somehow I see this as still being defendable with a few minor pieces around. These two pieces, you have this one very active minor piece, but when you look at these two, it takes a while for them to get working. And I have this idea of a knight maybe jumping into this square, so I don't know if the sacrifice is a sound one. It seems like it would be defendable, but maybe just a calm retreat with h5 to follow. And I'm in some trouble here. You have the safer king. Maybe just back up. You're on this pawn. I was thinking for a moment I could play knight f1 to g3, but it's not there in time. Bishop g6. I have to do something with this. The queen is not a good leader in defending this pawn. That's I'm struggling to do something good, I believe, after bishop g6, but he went in for that. And as soon as I got that light square bishop, there's really not much he could be doing. He's still kind of dead to the game. This knight, it's just not working out without the queens on the board. And then time scrambles. Alrighty. Okay. Good game, sandwich ham. Let me